Hello there, my name is Gina and welcome to the first episode of my new cooking show, Gina Cooks. The aim of this show is to dispel the concept of Oyibo cooking, as well as encourage people to be more adventurous with food and trying out new recipes. There is nothing like Oyibo food. As far as you have an ingredient, it grows locally and you can source it locally, then I'm sure it can be prepared. So the way we're going to do it is get local ingredients as well as international ingredients and bring them together, fuse them together and create something spectacular. So come along as I take you on this culinary journey with me. Welcome back. I often find African ingredients deep and flavorsome, so today I'll take you down memory lane to make one of my favorite childhood recipes, which is aubergine sauce and yam. Well, it can be eaten with yam or sweet potatoes. I will finish that meal off with Chapman, which is of course Nigeria's favorite cocktail, and I'm sure you viewers at home will be interested to see how I'm going to make that. So first of all, we'll start with making the yam. I'm going to slice the yam diagonally. That's because I want it to cook evenly. I remember as a kid, I really loved yam. I could eat yam with anything, you know, palm oil, groundnut oil, with a bit of crayfish and pepper and salt. And now it's funny how you eat yam and you know everything has to come with meat or fish like we're doing today. You have to peel the yam quickly. As you can see, the yam is getting red at the edges. So quickly put it in water to stop the coloring. So I fill a cup with water halfway and I put my yam in there. I'm going to cut the aubergines lengthways. The reason I'm doing this is to make it cook faster. I mean, it takes about 5 minutes for aubergines to cook. They actually have different types of aubergines, or eggplant as you might like to call it. And some people in my place call it garden egg. They have the green ones, but I prefer the black ones. I just the dark ones because I find them more flavorsome. Once you cut the aubergines, make sure that you put them in the water as soon as possible because they begin to color turn dark and you don't want that. Researchers say that aubergines are actually good for people who are diabetic, so I guess this is your healthy source of vitamins. I'll put them with the yam to boil. We need about 5 peppers for this sauce. So I like my chili extra cooked, so that's why I'm using 5. You can use as much or as little as you want to. Be careful so that you don't get seeds into your eyes. I'm going to grab an onion. Now I'm cutting my onions. I like to half them and take away the outer skin because of course it's too stringy and you don't want that in your food. I'm going to use a lot of onions in this dish because it just gives it a different, you know, depth to it. And now that's the last of my onions. The onions and the aubergines actually make the dish, you know. So I won't be using tomatoes in this dish like most Nigerian sauces that have tomato as the base. So by the time you fry the onions or sweat it like they say, everything reduces. So let's go make the sauce. I'm going to use about half a cup of palm oil. Half a cup of palm oil will be about 50 mils. Now the oil is hot, so sweat the onions. At this stage, please reduce the heat because you don't want it to burn up to ruin your dish. You can alternate palm oil with groundnut oil, but for this dish, I love using palm oil because it brings out the flavor and all the crayfish and all the fish. It just brings it together. So I'm going to reduce I'm going to cover this and let it sweat a little so it reduces. So at the moment we'll be taking a break. Hello there, if you're just joining us, I've been making one of my childhood favorites, aubergine sauce with yam. So now I need to check my aubergines whether they're ready. The aubergines doesn't take long to cook, so you always have to check it. So the yam needs another 5 minutes. So let's check our onions whether they are nicely done. It's really looking good. And at this point you see that the onions are translucent. You can see through the oil. So this stage we add the peppers. I have to get crayfish. I have two fishy seasonings. One of them is crayfish, ground crayfish, and the other one is brown bonga. And also Cameroon pepper. This pepper is actually deep and flavoursome, and it actually rounds it all together. At this point, I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of bonga. Just spread it around. I would add a tablespoon of ground crayfish. And 1 whole Cameroon pepper. I'll bring it up at the end of the cooking. And you turn it together. You mix. Please make sure the heat is low because you don't want to burn the dish before it's even ready. So have a teaspoon of salt. Half a teaspoon of salt. Then I'll just let it cook for a bit. Then I'll focus on my aubergines. You see the aubergines have been cooked and they're soft. So what you do is scoop out the insides like this carefully. I'm mashing the aubergines. Mash them, just keep mashing until it's almost lump free. But I mean, if there's little lumps, I mean that would not hurt. So we'll add the fish. I had some smoked fish that I washed earlier, so I'll add that into it. Now I'll add my aubergines, but be careful so as not to break the fish. And gently turn it. So you incorporate the onions and the aubergine like you're blending it together. Alright, at this point we'll cover the sauce. I'm going to check on our yam that's been boiling for about 10 minutes. The switch it up, I'm sure it's done now. So now we're going to drain off the water. So going back to my sauce. Lastly, I'll add a bouillon cube. Be careful that every time when turning so you don't break the fish. And you just let it simmer for another 10 minutes. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, I've been making one of my favorite childhood dishes, aubergine sauce with yam. And I'm going to finish that off with a Chapman dish, which I'm going to show you how to make now. What we need is Sprite, Fanta, some grenadine, which you can get from any shop, any supermarket, or one of all these alcohol shops in the market, and also aromatic bitters. You also need a large jug and some lemons. First, what you need to do is get a large enough jug, or if you don't have a jug, you can just put it in a nice glass like this one. So you add 1 Sprite and you add 1 batter. So the grenadine, I'll add about 2 tablespoons. But since I've been making this for a while, I can actually eyeball it. Grenadine gives it a distinct red color, and I'm going through everything gives it that flavor that we know, that taste. So you put about 2 tablespoons, and you grab a knife and add some chopped cucumbers. You need a whole cucumber for this. I mean, it depends on what you what you want, but I'll use a whole cucumber, and I'll use the lemons to garnish it. There's no need to peel the skin. Grab a lemon. You can use lemon or lime, but I prefer lemon for this particular. I mean, there's no limits to what you can do with Chapman. You can add pineapple, you can add apples. I mean, I don't think anyone can say they have a monopoly to any recipe. So just make it your own. Turn it upside down so that my hand can grab the seeds. So that's about a tablespoon of fresh lemon. You can just dump this one inside. An extra lemon cake. And the last slice of lemon is to garnish. For the alcohol lovers, you can always add Campari or vodka to give it that extra kick. Our aubergine sauce is fully cooked. Now, you know the aubergine is cooked, the sauce is cooked when the oil escapes to the top. And there's no need to add any liquid to this dish. The aubergine has enough liquid. That's all cooked, so I'll clear my table. When we return, I'll plate the dish. Now it's time for the taste test. 2 pieces of yam and mustard. Proof of the pudding is in the eating. So there you go. Chapman is pretty easy, and it's amazing how you go to restaurants and they charge you so much for it. I have my spoon here to scoop out some cucumber. So there you go. The yam and aubergine sauce with Chapman. I can just see myself in my mom's house, and this is just so delicious. The crayfish, the bonga, the Cameroon pepper, everything all comes together. And this is so refreshing, really. Honestly, I wish you were here to taste it right now. So join us again for another exciting episode of Gina Cooks.